Okay, we're in the midst of learning Hilchos Pesach, and we'll go more about Seder night, because we only have really 8 nights to do till Pesach. Matzah meviim hakar v'seder anochas haminim shebetoichov. Betchilas haseder, at the beginning of the Seder, koydem HaKiddush, before the Kiddush, meviim lefnei Baal HaBayis, you bring in front of the head of the household, kaira sheyesh by sholosh maitzes, a Seder plate that has in it 3 matzahs, umara, and bitter herb, charoises, and the charoses contingent, the karpas and the celery or the parsley, or yerek acha or any other type of vegetable, v'shnei tafshilim, and 2 cooked items where it could be roasted. One of them is roasted, echad zeichel lePesach, ve'echad zeichel chagiga. One commemorates the Pesach, and one commemorates the Chagiga that many people brought together with the Pesach. And we use those 2 items that are cooked, are done with a piece of meat and a egg. The basa that we use is called the zuroya, and it's roasted. And the beitza was normally cooked. It could also be tzluya, but it could be cooked. A hard-boiled egg. Okay. So he brings down over here that it's not so simple the way it's written here. Because b'Shulchan Aruch Siman Tov Ayin Gimel Sif Aleph to Gimel, it says over there, Moizgel Lekosh Rishon, U'mekadosh Olav. The first thing you do is you pour a cup of wine and you do Kiddush. And Shoyse B'Seib, and then you drink the wine leaning to the left. Meviim Lefnei Baal HaBayis Kairin, afterwards it mentions bringing the Seder plate. Mashma Davois HaKarel HaShulchan Hu Achar Kiddush. So from the straight language of the Shulchan Aruch, it sounds like you do the Kiddush prior to placing the Seder plate. That's how if you look at the Torah straight. And the Hagel we called Varam Elufnei Baal HaBayis Miyad Achar Kiddush Koydem Achilas HaYirokis Akan Ma'aserav Issa Shavi Akar La'ach Achilas HaKarpis V'Shapa L'Shid Sagrod HaKarpis Eina B'Tech HaKaira. It's not in the Kaira. However, after everything is said and done, it's not so simple, because Omnam Zeloshin HaMata Moshe. This is the language of the Mata Moshe when he explains the beginnings of the order of the Seder, which we traditionally do. Kishaboim Beis HaKnesses. When you come home, your Shulchan Aruch, your table should be set, v'olav kaira, and on the table you should have your Seder plate. Uba sholosh matzahs sudarim, and you have the 3 matzahs. Hareisha akairu al gaba shulchan kvar koydem HaKiddush. Seems to be that he says that the Seder plate is on the table prior to Kiddush. V'cheinu hashmois hara avudram ukishiyavi adam al beisi. He says when a person comes home from shul, yim tzadol he should see his candles lit, v'shulchan aruch, and his table set, v'kais mitzois, and all the cups are put out. Meviim lefan of sal oikarish yesh b'shnei tafshilim v'gimel matzahs. They bring a seder which with two cooked items, which is the beitz and the zroya, and the 3 matzahs, v'shnei min yirokis, and 2 type of vegetables. Charoises adkan v'chein kosher pri megodim. Anu nahagim, the pri megodim says it specifically. Anu nahagim lahavi akaira he says it in Dine HaSeder B'Ktsara. This is in the Pri Megadim, in Sefer Tov Pei Vav. It says over there the halachos of the Seder B'Ktsara. We do the Seder B'Ktsara before Pesach also. When do we do the halachos of the Seder? We do it when we do Yotzes for Shabbos HaGadol. B'chol ma shetzarich koyim kiddush akam. I'm oidam r'chayin odem the mashvish hakayru hu al shulchan from boyd yoyim, even by day. Chayin kos b'shul kitzur shulchan aruch. That's what's written in kitzur shulchan aruch. So at the end of the day, you put out the Seder plate, and then you make Kiddush. That's what most people do. Okay, now there's different traditions on how you set up your Seder plate. Yesh kama days b'Seder Akar. There are different ways how you set up the Seder plate. V'nispashit haminig b'roiv tutzis Yisrael. Most places throughout Klal Yisrael is kikabos hariz l'sad b'tzura shel shnei segol. To do it in a way that you have two, he calls it segels, because we know it's segels like a triangle, where there's two things on top and then one in the middle, and the same thing below, another two, and then one in the middle below it. So it's like two segels, 6 dots in total, 6 items, one on top of the other. And how does it work? Hazarayim miyamin, the zraya is on the right hand top corner. Habeitzim is small, the beitz is on the left hand top. V'amora tachtem b'emsen, the mora is on the first triangle, below it in the middle. That's segel echad. That's triangle number 1. V'achar kach hacharosis miyamin hazroya. That charosis is on the right hand lower corner. V'akarpus mismol tachas habeitza, and the karpus is on the left hand side below the egg. The chazeris be'emtze tachas hamar, and the chazeris, which is another type which people use different types of bitter herbs, is under the Mara. That's the segel shiny. That's the second triangle. Kol eila shol matzahs shebekayran. All these were on top of the 3 matzahs in the kaira. Okay, but this is... Now, we'll go into this a little bit more in detail, because not everybody has this tradition, especially by the Ashkenazim. He brings down here, B'Shulchan Aruch Siman Tofayin Gimel Mevim L'fnei Balabayis Kaira Shesh Bo Gimel Matzahs. You bring a Seder plate that you have inside of it, inside the pockets, 3 matzahs. Umara v'charosis v'karpus ha'yerech acha. You go and bring mara, charosis, and karpus, or another type of vegetable. Vishnei tafshilim. And then you bring 2 cooked items, eichel zeichel pesach, eichel zeichel akiga. Nahago basu beitz hago. V'yisada, this is the Shulchan Aruch saying this. This is all quotes from the Shulchan Aruch. Hago v'yisada akayu lefanav b'inyan shein tzorach lav ala mitzvahs. The reason why it's set up in this order is not to go and pass over a mitzvah. Dahainu akarpasi l'mala min hakol. He holds the karpus should be completely on top, which means on the bottom. V'achoymeitz samachloi, and salt water should be next to it. V'ha mitzvahs min amar v'charosis v'hemiyah yosi kroiv mela min abasa v'abeitza. And the least, furthest away, because lamala over here means the bottom. Because if you think about it, what's the top ones? We said the zroy and the beitza. But in order to get to it, you have to pass over everything else. So that's why they're on top. And he says, "V'hagra kosev shikach shtei matzos." Okay, so this is the way it's brought down, and he says, "Nimsla das ramah say dakaru kazeh." There's over here bringing down one thing that you don't have on the regular Seder plate on the Ramah, is the Chametz and the Zroya and the Mei Melach. We don't put that on the Seder plate. We know we dip the celery or the potatoes or the parsley, whatever you do, you dip it into the salt water. But the salt water is not on the Seder plate. But over here, he brings it down as putting it on the Seder plate. Interestingly enough, there was once a picture of a Seder plate that had on it all the different minim, different items, and it had also Chesmem Tzadik Sofit and the Tzadik. Chametz. So people, it was a picture of such a Seder plate. But people didn't realize, people said maybe it's there to show spiritually we keep it empty to show that we don't have chametz. But what it meant was chametz. They just didn't put in the vav into it. Because the difference between chametz and chametz is one vav. And the Agra Kosef, the Vilna Gaon had a tradition, Sheyikach Shtei Matzahs. Umar v'charois zroya beitzu, ubeitzei umat l'afikoyim. And you break that middle matzah for the afikoyim. Umeniach hazroya v'beitzu tachas hashleim v'amatzah mechapo oisim milamala. Okay, so he has a whole different way of doing it. Okay, we don't have to go into this. It's going to take too long. Okay, now, so this is the Seder plate. Hamatzah shebekaira, we have the matzahs in the kaira, so we have 3 traditionally. There are those that hold them in a gagra, that it's 2. But most of the world has 3 matzahs. And the hagim laniach gimel matzahs bekaira. The tradition was to put 3 matzahs into the Seder plate. It doesn't have to be directly under it. It could be also by the side. But at the end of the day, you have 3 pieces of matzah for your Seder when you begin the Seder.
Is it lechatchila to have it underneath? The matzahs underneath or not?
Yeah, would be best. But is it something that's ma'akiv? Absolutely not. No. Some people used to have a tray for the matzahs, a silver tray. Anybody ever see the Chabad tray? This is a special famous tray from the Chabad's Rebbe. I think the Rebbe kept it from his Azeda. I don't know, it was Tzemach Tzedek, but it was on a tray. It was on a silver tray.
We had to sell the silver tray to be able to afford the matzah.
What?
We had to sell the silver tray to be able to afford the matzah.
Who? The Lubavitcher Rebbe? I don't think so.
Chabad sold all the silver until he said that's why they don't.
Oh, that was something else. That was for the jail.
That's what Mr.
But we're not talking about the silver tray. We're talking about the silver ataris. And they never got it back again. It's brought down that you put in front of the head of the household a plate that has on it 3 matzahs. Because of Bahagrosh, Zel Das Toisus Rosh, because of Mordechai, Abul Das Arif, a Rambam, by Goyim, and Tzarchel, and Shtei matzahs, like we mentioned. You have 2 matzahs. And achas prus l'shnayim, you have 1 that you break into half, so that becomes now a total of 3. And on half of that, you go ahead and make a moitzi and a chilas matzah, which we do as well, because we have two. Because at the end of the day, we have we have three matzahs, but we put away that half of matzah fafikoim in the other half. But we use one matzah plus the broken one. Over here, he used the broken one exclusively. And the second half of the matzah was used for the afikoimim later on in the evening. And that was mashlim for the whole one, because you have the Arkav Shalom Prusa. On the achilas matzah, that's why you drop it. When you make the moitzi, you have the three matzahs. When we do it, right? We have, when we get to moitzi matzah, we have three matzahs. The middle one is broken already, and the smaller half is left inside there. And you make hamoitzi lechem because you want to do on a lechem mishnah. And then you drop the bottom one, and you keep only the top and the middle one, and you make achilas matzah because you make the achilas matzah on a broken piece of matzah. Bein sarach gimel matzahs, and the Vilna Gaon says that you don't have to have a whole matzah for the achilas matzah. V'chein nikah. It seems to be he doesn't hold of it. Yeah, he doesn't go with that. He says it's good enough to prusa. B'chlal. Yeah, that's what he holds. There's no lechem mishnah here. There's no two shleimus.
Yeah, but b'chlal matzahs, you don't even have to have a full shleimus.
Yeah, mevarach ha'moitzi achilas matzah prusa mishum lechem oini vein sorch gimel matzahs v'chein nikah.
But that's hard to understand because don't you need to have two lechem shlamim?
So he counts that half a matzah as a lechem mishnah.
Okay, the grab counts.
Yeah, because you can't really tell that it's a broken piece of matzah only because you saw it's broken. But it's really, it's not like a half a loaf of challah, of challah. Amna tur kosev karosh v'kosev v'syoyis, they're three. Right, Darkei Moshe, da'aminig likach shteima. In the Darkei Moshe also says, da'aminig likach gimel matzahs. V'zeh sh'posik ha'machaber sh'likach gimel matzahs. That's why the Machaber also says three matzahs. V'chein kosev b'sei da'ayoyim, sha'aminig losim gimel matzahs b'karyo. V'chein kosev Matzah Moshe, ba'avudram, b'chaya odom, b'kitz shulchan aruch, b'shulchan aruch harav, b'aruch hashulchan, b'mishnah berurah. The Mishnah Berurah does not bring down the Vilna Gaon. So there are those that are makbid to passing like the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah seems to go with three matzahs, not with two matzahs. But there are those that go with the Vilna Gaon. They'll go with not like the Mishnah Berurah, and they'll go with two matzahs. And where do you put these matzahs? Either under the Seder plate or next to the Seder plate, like we mentioned. And it's brought down here. B'shulchan aruch mavim l'fnei ha'bal habayis, kairi sheish bo gimel matzahs umor v'charois v'karpis. U'maloshin zeh mashmash ha'matzahs menuchim b'tech ha'kari mamish, like we do. People have, even if you have a Seder, you have what's called, how's it called? A matzah. We call it in Yiddish a matzatash. A matzatash, meaning a matzah holder. So you have it. It's called a matzatash. V'chein loshin haberheita b'shem hari v'tenich elu hachamish dvarim lamala al gibel hamatzas. You put it above the three matzahs. It gets a little bit complicated because you have to have something to hold it. Like the egg, if you're going to put it without something to hold it, it's going to start flying off. It'll twirl off the Seder plate. So you have to be careful. Ach Omer Rav Shmuel Gamer Matzah Menuchim Al Shulchan. Rav Shmuel holds that it doesn't have to be on the Seder matzahs. If it's on the table, v'akayru samach lev, and the kair is next to it, nikra ala matzahs ve'ein bezek paid. It's not a problem whatsoever. As I mentioned, That's how the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I think, does it as well. When Rayim Loshen HaPoiskim Damrina become Mekaymis, this is a famous Chazal that there's many places that we say al. When you say al, doesn't mean actually on top of. It means besamach, next to. V'ri'isi, the Kain Kosev b'Kaf HaChaim, but the Kaf HaChaim says the same type of logic. Okay, now let's start a little bit further. The three matzahs are made are placed one on top of the other, and we spoke about how they're baked already previously. And what are they representative of? Vehem Keneged Kohen Levi v'Yisrael. They are vis-a-vis the Kohen Levi Yisrael. Vein Tzarech Klal lahafsik bei matzah lematzah yidei hafsik mappa. Even though you can get these fancy matzah things, you don't really have to have. Nowadays they give you 3 separate compartments. It doesn't have to be separate compartments. They can be into one compartment, one on top of the other, literally one touching the other. Umatzah shalanu ein tzarich ledak sheyeh matzah amsois yoyis gedol ma'acheres echol yishavu l'shar matzahs. You don't have to have that the middle matzah will go into this next time, that it has to be a larger matzah. It could be even a matzah that has the same size as the other 2 matzahs. Because at the end of the day, you'll say that maybe it needs the bigger because you break it in half, and we'll go on this forward next time. Hananya ben Akasher Mizbach Zak Yisrael Lefikachem Torah Mitzvahs Shenema Adoni Chofetz L'man Tzidkoi Yadul Torah V'Yadir.